Positive impact rating for business schools, from being the best in the world to being the best for the world. Part 1, critique of current rankings. Business school rankings have been criticized for many years. The major rankings from Financial Times, Economist or Forbes are seen to follow the money and reflect the values and expectations of the times when the rankings were created, more than 20 years ago. The ranking criteria are criticized for their narrowness along with a lack of transparency about the criteria selection process. There's serious doubt if the rankings produce valid feedback on the performance of the programs or schools. They're not seen as measuring what is taught and learned at schools, and the over-reliance on salary metrics in current rankings neglects other values the schools are providing, like shaping the personal development of students and preparing them for a changing business and societal environment. As rankings are seen to be increasingly out of touch with changing social environments and student expectations, the newly created Positive Impact Rating for Business Schools, brief PIR, provides an answer to this criticism by presenting an innovative by students and for students rating, where students assess their own business schools on how they perceive them in creating a positive impact on and for the world. Its wider ambition is to move business schools from becoming the best in the world to becoming the best for the world. Part 2, Sustainability and Social Impact, Emerging Topics in the Business School Landscape. While business schools have been rather slow in picking up the increasing social demands, there have been far-reaching developments in the business school landscape in the fields of research, accreditations, and rankings. These developments have in many ways been driven by developments on the level of the United Nations, which adopted in 2015 an ambitious global agenda based on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, following the UN Millennium Development Goals, which had been launched in 2000. But there have been a lot more institutional developments in the business school landscape. The UN Principles for Responsible Management Education, short PRIME, were initiated in 2007 by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon as a platform to raise the profile of sustainability in business schools around the world. As a voluntary initiative with over 750 signatories across 90 countries, the PRIME calls on business schools all over the world to engage their education, research and outreach activities to advance social responsibility and sustainability. Looking at international accreditations, topics such as ethics, responsibility and sustainability have made their way into the standards of the European Quality Improvement System, EQUIS. In 2013, EQUIS revised its accreditation standards and demand that ethical, responsible and sustainable behavior are made an integral part of business school strategy and governance, as well as being reflected in the regular research, teaching, continuing education and service activities. The US-based Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, ASCSB, integrated new guiding principles on ethics and societal impact into their revised 2020 standards for business accreditation. They demand that ethics and societal impact needs to be reflected across all core elements of the standards, from the school's mission and strategic plan to its curriculum and intellectual contributions, covering issues of policy as well as practice. This means that the two most important global accreditation standards for business schools now demand a full integration of ethics, responsibility and sustainability, or societal impact, across their core activities. This creates a clear pressure for the schools not only to develop and improve their respective strategies, but also to measure their social impact and report on it. Part 3, the new Positive Impact Rating for Business Schools. The Positive Impact Rating was created to strengthen and accelerate these developments within business schools and to provide a more relevant selection tool for future students. Most students care deeply about making a positive difference through their professional lives, yet they do not necessarily know how to find the right business school to get prepared for this. The PIR is a tool for this next generation of change agents and a response to widespread demands for a positive impact of business schools. The PIR concept was developed in a multi-step prototyping process by a large group of committed and engaged academics, students, and business school stakeholders from many different countries. The PIR is organized as an independent, not-for-profit association under Swiss law. It has been formally endorsed by WWF Switzerland, representing the environmental dimension, Oxfam International, representing the social dimension, and UN Global Compact Switzerland, representing the economic dimension. It is set up to be led by student organizations active in the responsibility and sustainability space, together with their schools. There's a formal collaboration with international student organizations like Oikos International, Net Impact, and IESEC, but also with national student organizations. Part 4, the positive impact rating model. Business schools are asked to embrace a larger role in society together with a changing and expanding role of business in society. Additionally, they are asked to support business in making this move and to prepare students for changing demands on their future tasks. The PIR offers an alternative perspective to the traditional focus of rankings on economic and selfish motifs. Its rating criteria are based on an explicit model capturing what positive impact of business schools for students and their learning means. The PIR model consists of 3 areas, 7 dimensions, and 20 questions. Area 1, energizing, assesses how governance and culture move the school ahead as perceived by its students. Area 2, educating, assesses how a business school prepares their students to become responsible leaders in business and society. Area 3, engaging, assesses if a school earns the trust of students and society, but also its status as a respected public citizen. Part 5, a rating by students and for students. In traditional rankings, the assessment is conducted by the concerned business schools. The schools provide the information, manage the rankings, and they are greatly interested in the rankings results and their marketing potential. The PIR is a rating by students and for students. Students assess the school they know best and they care about most, their own school. And they do this in cooperation with their school's leadership, which must register for the rating, pay a participation fee, and agree to respect the integrity of the student voice. Part 6, a rating, not a ranking. Rankings position business schools in a highly differentiated league table, thereby pitting one school against the other. It creates a competition between different schools, much like in a football league. Naturally, the participating schools will try everything to end up as leaders, thereby beating their competitors. At the same time, rankings are being criticized for creating differences between schools which are too small to be meaningful. Therefore, and unfortunately, rankings discourage rather than support cooperative and collective action between the school. There is no reason to cooperate with a competitor. As a rating, the PIR follows a very different philosophy. Ratings position schools in different categories. The PIR positions the schools according to their overall scores on 5 different levels. It calls them beginning schools, emerging schools, progressing schools, transforming schools, and pioneering schools. Schools are listed alphabetically within each level, not in order of their performance, to further reduce a sense of competition. Moreover, PIR only publishes the schools on the top 3 levels, levels 3 to 5, purposefully reinforcing those that are successful in their transformation rather than shaming those who are not yet there. Part 7, supporting school development and change. Established rankings have become important tools for positioning the school on a national and international market. The PIR offers an alternative tool for business schools and students that care about their school's social impact. The value of the PIR for schools includes an internal assessment of where the schools stand regarding their positive impact creation and an external benchmarking with other participating schools. The results can be used for reporting and accreditation purposes. The value of the PIR for students lies in the signaling effect for attracting engaged new students. Also, reporting on social impact education highlights attractive schools for employers. Finally, by providing the assessment tool to student organizations and school management, both are empowered to use the data for continually improving the social impact of their school. And this is done every year anew, with successive generations of students evaluating and re-evaluating their schools. Part 8, Getting Started with PIR. The results of the first edition of the PIR 2020, were presented at the World Economic Forum, the WEF, at Davos, Switzerland, in January 2020. 3,000 students from 51 schools and 22 different countries had completed the online survey. 30 schools were featured in the final rating, 9 schools on level 4, 21 schools on level 3. No school was rated on level 5. The results presentation was embedded in a multi-stakeholder thought leader dialogue with a dozen deans from international business schools participating, together with representatives from ranking organizations, business student organizations, and business school organizations. For schools participating in the rating, it needs an engaged student organization that coordinates the data collection to get a broad representative student sample for the rating. And it needs a point of contact in the school administration that registers the school and pays the administrative fee. Then the students get access to the tool and can start collecting the student data. The PIR management is there to help you in case you have any questions.